Morning, everyone.
Morning. Morning.
Welcome to the January 21st Economic Development Authority meeting. Deviate from the agenda briefly, real quickly. We have a new commissioner. We're proud to bring on Camille Cherry. And if you'd like to say a few words.
Well, I'm Camille Cherry. I work with Crofton here in Portsmouth. I'm also an Old Town resident, graduated from Portsmouth Christian, so long time Portsmouth person. So excited to be here, and thanks for having me.
Okay. Given that, we'll do the roll call.
Good morning, and thank you, Chair. Mr. Barber.
Here.
Mr. Mitchell.
Here.
Mr. Brown.
Here.
Mrs. Saunders Smith.
Here.
Mrs. Cherry.
Here.
Mr. James. And Mr. Harmon. Here. Here, we do have a quorum.
Great. I trust that everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes. If there are no changes or revisions, I move for adoption of the minutes.
Second.
Take a vote.
Here, second by Mr. Saunders Smith. Barber.
Aye.
Mitchell.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Saunders Smith.
Yes.
Mrs. Cherry.
Yes.
James is absent. Mr. Harmon. Yes. Here, the item is adopted by a vote of 6-0.
As you can see from the agenda, we have a laundry list of presentations today. So we will navigate through those. We'll start off with the bond secure bond issue.
And Chair, we do have a presenter here, which is Erin Sutton of Dinsmore and Scholl. She is joining us virtually. So we're going to give Ms. Griffin just a minute to bring her on the screen. Looks like we've got her. I want to confirm that she can hear us as well.
I can hear you.
I can hear you. Yes. Ms. Sutton, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, members of the authority. Thank you for having us. I'm Erin Sutton from Dinsmore and Scholl, and we're serving as bond counsel for this transaction. Bon Secours Mercy Health is a 501c3 nonprofit healthcare system with facilities in both the Richmond markets and the Hampton Roads markets, and as you know, includes Maryview Hospital there in Portsmouth. In accordance with their board-approved plan of finance, Bon Secours has asked the Economic Development Authority of Henrico County to issue revenue bonds, the proceeds of which will be used to refund some prior outstanding debt, reimburse themselves for prior capital expenditures, and also fund the costs of other planned capital projects for their facilities in Virginia. The hearing this morning is being held pursuant to Section 147F of the Internal Revenue Code, which requires that in order to obtain tax exemption on these revenue bonds for qualified 501c3 bonds, we must first hold a public hearing, which we call a TEFRA hearing, 7 days after publishing public notice in the paper, which was published January 14th in the Virginian Pilot. Also on January 14th, we presented the plan of finance to the Portsmouth City Council at their working session, and we would like to then seek approval of the transaction at their council meeting next week in order to get approval under both federal and state law. The portion of the bonds allocated to Maryview is approximately $30 million, which includes capital projects going back 3 years and going forward 2 years. It's important to note that as conduit revenue bonds, the debt service on the bonds is secured only by the funds and revenues of the borrower, Bon Secours Mercy Health, and will not constitute debt or general obligation of any political subdivisions, including the City of Portsmouth or the Portsmouth Economic Development Authority. So I'm happy to take any questions you may have on the financing. I can't tell if John Haynes is there in person or if he dialed in, but we can also take some questions on the Maryview project.
The $30 million that's allocated for bond secure, can you speak to what those funds might be used for?
Sure. Bon Secours submitted a list of the projects. I'm not sure if this body has that list, but I'm happy to re-forward it to you. But some of the specific projects include that they relocated their interventional radiology suite to co-locate with other existing cardiovascular services. They relocated and renovated their endoscopy suites to the first floor and built pre-procedure and post-procedure patient rooms. They replaced the whole nursing call system to increase capabilities and efficiencies and bring Maryview up to current technology standards. They replaced their interventional radiology equipment with a Philips Azuron system. Also includes general facilities, infrastructure, and maintenance improvements, including air handling unit, replacements, backflow preventer, temperatures controls, hot water generators, medical vacuums, heat exchange, Omnicell conversion for medical dispensing. So this is the medication management system that they implemented this year. Also renovation and restoration of interior and exterior areas, including a redesign and enhancement of the emergency room. Flooring upgrade, replacement projects, exterior entrance renovations and updates, medical arts building roof replacement, and aesthetic items. And then finally, the purchase of various clinical equipment, including cardiac cath, lab replacement, anesthesia machines, patient beds, surgical towers, surgical drills, radiology, fluoroscopy, I'm not sure how you say that, replacement, mammography units, stretchers, patient monitor replacements, defibrillators, CT replacement. We have a list of all the different.
Pretty impressive. Pretty impressive.
I have a question. With this upgrade, is there a plan to bring the birthing center back to Portsmouth? We don't have a place where newborn children are born in this city. Would that money include bringing that back to Barnes Accords?
I don't have the answer to that question, but I will get that for you right away.
Thank you.
You have a very impressive list of things that that has already been done. Do you have any new capital projects in the wings that for the future with Maryview?
Well, I think the list that I gave includes past and present, and I apologize, I can't tell which is which because they give me just the list of the capital projects that they have completed and will complete, because those all get sort of bound up together and financed together. But generally, when we do bond issues like this, we choose long-lived assets and improvements. So this is just a list of the sort of bigger money spend that they're doing and have done.
Any additional questions from the commissioners? Thank you so much.
Yeah, this is a public hearing, so members of the public may come up and speak to the bond issuance, and you'll have 5 minutes. So if anyone would like to speak.
Yeah. I can speak now?
Yes.
Where do you want me to stand?
I can hear you, or you can stand behind us, wherever you.
Stand behind y'all?
Or you can, I think, stand where you are.
Okay.
The camera will pick you up, I believe, and obviously, Ms. Sutton, I believe, can hear you as well. You have 5 minutes, ma'am.
I mean, introduce myself,
Sure.
just say something,
Yes.
or, and say my name.
Give your name. Go ahead and speak to whatever you want to.
Okay. I'm Diana Biggs, and I reviewed this minute, but it's like all of a sudden I'm called to say something right now instead of having an ability to have a conversation with people to kind of learn everything what's going on. So that's my concern about the communication style that's going on. And this, I mean, I've never spoken here before. And so it's not your fault now. I'm just saying that I like to know stuff before I'm called to stand up and speak. So that's the issue. And the other is that this is located in the police service area 1, and all the civic leagues in the area needed to be addressed and learned about what you're talking about, because that's, to me, communication is the key to make things right. So that's all I'm saying. I wasn't notified and talked with the people to explain step by step and have a voice and a communication versus just speaking out. See what I'm saying? So don't hold me, be mad because I'm speaking. It's just because I need communication. I'm a visual action person. So that's what I need. So thanks for listening. And this is my first time, so I don't know how to speak. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate your comments.
Does any other member of the public have any comments? If there being none, this public hearing is closed.
Yes, Chair. The public hearing for this item has closed. There is a resolution that was prepared, was sent out with the meeting package last Friday. And at this point in time, we are in need of a motion to approve the resolution as it was presented.
I'll move to approve the resolution that was distributed in our package.
For any discussion on the item? Hearing none, I will read the roll. Mr. Barber?
Aye.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mrs. Saunders Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Cherry?
Yes.
Mr. James is absent. Mr. Harmon?
Yes.
Chair, the item is approved by a vote of 6-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We just take a brief pause to transition here to our financials, and we do have a couple of financial items for you this morning. And I'm going to ask Kiera Pope of our finance department to make an introduction on the first item.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm just going to give a brief introduction to our auditor assistant, Martha Allen, formerly known as CMA. Back in July, I did an unaudited financial report for fiscal year ending 2024. And so today, our auditors, were two of them, we work with a big group of them to get everything done. So this morning, we'll be speaking with Shirley Allen and Matt Axenberger. Turning it over to you.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate it, everybody's time this morning for us to present the fiscal year 2024 audit results for the Economic Development Authority. We issued an unmodified audit opinion this year, which is a clean opinion, a good opinion. It's the highest level of assurance that I, as your auditor, can provide you all that the financials are not materially misstated. So this is a really good testament to the work that's being done day to day by those in finance to keep track of your records. We issued our report on December 12th, so of 2024, which is a little bit earlier than in prior years. So we're very grateful for the cooperation of everybody that's involved in the audit to get us information timely so we can make sure that we're providing audit results in a timely manner as well to you all. I would say I'd characterize this fiscal year as being more of a vanilla fiscal year. There really wasn't a whole lot that was going on in terms of new standards that the EDA had to implement, which was a welcome. Usually new standards require a lot of legwork and communication to try to make sure they're implemented properly. So we didn't have to worry about that this year, which every now and then you like a good breather, so to speak. There is one estimate in the financials to bring to your attention, and that is the estimate for the land held for resale. It's based on the purchase price of the land, and we look at that to make sure there should be no significant factors or inputs that should go into reevaluating those that value. We didn't have any difficulties in performing the audit. Like I said, everybody was very responsive to our request, which we're grateful for. There was no uncorrected or corrected misstatements for you all to be aware of. We didn't have any disagreements with management. And really, that's all I have to share today, unless anybody has any questions. Like I said, it was a pretty vanilla year, so to speak. Nothing crazy going on, which is good.
Yeah.
Any questions?
All good.
Okay.
Glad to hear the good news. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'd love to bring good news to boards like such as yourself.
Very good. Here's to you and the rest of the CLA team. Thank you for your help this past fiscal year and for providing the presentation on the audit report. We do appreciate your support and assistance with that, and the good news as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Pope, I do believe there's a financial report for the last quarter ending December, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I'll be reading from the screen.
Okay. We don't have a printout in your package, it appears, but we are going to pull it up on the screen, and Ms. Pope will guide us through from there. Just going to provide script for just a minute, just to transition between presentations.
Fully utilizing technology this morning.
We are. I think we're checking all the boxes on our IT capabilities here. So knock on wood, so far so good.
There we go.
And if we can just zoom in a little bit here, so we can read it from the far end of the table. Maybe one more click. I'm going to defer to the chair here.
That's good. I can see it now.
Okay, I think we can make that out. Thank you. Ms. Pope.
Okay. Good morning again. So this presentation is the second quarter financial report for FY25 ending December 31st, 2024. So at the end of second quarter, we ended with $7.2 million in cash in the bank between two banks. We have land for sale at $13.3 million, giving a total asset value of $23.6 million. We have liabilities at $843,000, with a total net position of $21 million, with a decrease of $283,000 from last year. Okay, this report is the statement of revenue and expenditures. So we sold one property at $100,000. We had a total operating revenues of $1,749,000. That's net of the cost of the land sold. Operating expenses for the second quarter was $107,000. We have dispersed $231,000 worth of rent. We have earned $85,000 in interest, and we have transferred $31,000 back to the city. Our net position again is $21 million. This right here, which is kind of zoomed in, but this is our year-to-date budget report. So it shows the revised budget, what we've actually brought in and spent, any encumbrances / POs that we have waiting to be used, and our annual budget. This is our list of properties as of December 31st, matching the number that I gave on the first report of 13.3 million. This is our spreadsheet of where we calculate the profit in the sold. And so far, we did, back in October, we did 9,800 dollars. This is the remaining 2023 investment grants that's ready to be paid out for 136,000. This is our list of FY 24 remaining grants ready to be paid out at 107,000. And this again matches the number from the income report of all the grants we paid out as of 7/1/24 at 231,000. Questions?
Obviously, that's kind of difficult to read,
Yeah.
but we will provide the commissioners with a copy, a PDF of the presentation.
Brian, can you remind me what the $31,000 transfer was for?
So I, periodically throughout the year, misspoke, please correct me if I'm misspeaking on this. There are funds that are transferred from the EDA over to the city to cover various administrative costs as it relates to kind of our internal admin department. So that could be for city attorneys, office staffing, et cetera. So reimbursement for purposes.
Administrative fees.
Don't we do, I don't think it's included in 31, but don't we do the revenue from the hotel?
Yes, sir. There's also a revenue received from the lease for the Renaissance Hotel. Traditionally, that will go directly to the city and will get deposited there. And that's approximately $100,000.
I have a question. On the 107,000 in grants waiting to be paid out, what's the delay on paying them out? You don't know? Do we know?
I can speak to that. Those are grants that either have yet to be completed or have been completed, are in the reimbursement process. So those are awarded grants that are just in the payout process.
So we're waiting on businesses to finish some kind of submission in order to receive those?
Yes, sir, to complete the work, submit their documentation of the completed work, and then for the grant to be paid out. Keeping in mind that we reallocated some additional funds in the current round.
Right.
So there's a likelihood that we'll have other grants and other funds that will be allocated. So those will carry on in addition to the 107 that are.
Right. Right. Thank you.
No further questions. Thank you for the presentation. Shift to old business.
Thank you, Chair. Your first item under old business is a reminder of the planned and upcoming groundbreaking ceremony for Baines Point Apartments, which is on an EDA owned property in the 1100 block of High Street. That event is scheduled to occur on January 28th at 11 o'clock in the morning. That will be held on site. I've been told to remind everybody that it is a construction zone, so please wear appropriate footwear. It might be a little bit muddy out there, but I do know that they have made efforts to prepare the site for the event. I believe that a formal invitation has also gone out to each member of the board, as well as our city council and city leadership. So you should each have an invite with additional details, but we want to make sure you have this on your calendar. We hope you're able to join us. This is a big event for a couple of reasons. First, it's additional affordable housing that is going to be coming to the city of Portsmouth, 50 units that are currently under construction. It is also the first project to move forward within the city's new innovation district. So very excited for that as well, to kind of kick off the implementation of the plan with a really first-class housing project that is underway as we speak. So there's excavators working on the site as we speak today.
Questions? 700 Crawford Street.
Yes, 700 Crawford Street. This is just an update with respect to the property, which has now closed and has been conveyed to the breeding companies for phase 2 of the Harbor Vista community. That transaction closed at the beginning of January. So I'm pleased to report that the property has been sold. The project is in the planning and permitting phase. And again, that's going to consist of a multi-family apartment building, which is phase 2 of Harbor Vista. I believe 44 units, 1, 2, and 3 bedroom market rate units that are going to be constructed. You can see, if you can make it out there on the overhead, a rendering of the project. Just an update that has closed.
Brian.
Long time in coming.
Oh, yeah.
I know it was, and we're pleased that the transaction has closed and it'll be moving forward.
Brian, I don't know if you're able to identify how many what the residential development has been 24 versus 25. You know, how many additional people will be living in the downtown corridor? It would have to be fairly significant. I don't know how we would obtain that number.
We can obtain that, and I agree. I think it has been significant. We could work through the building official's office to pull a report on the permits that have been issued, and can also report on some of the planned projects. Specifically downtown, is that the interest?
Yeah.
Citywide, we can do that as well.
Well, I'm just curious about the density of population that we're starting to build downtown, which would be great.
We can absolutely pull that information and send it out as a report back. Your next item is 1117, 1121 High Street, and we do have an update on the status of this property. And I'm going to ask Ms. Julie Cha, who is our real estate development specialist, to provide you an update on this item, as she has been overseeing some of that work. So, Ms. Cha, if I can ask you to stand in this room.
Should I speak?
That would be, yeah, so camera.
Sure. Okay. Good morning, commissioners. The construction documents for 1117 and 1121 High Street were submitted by the consultant. The 1117 property includes interior renovations, and for both 1117 and 1121 High Street, the roof replacement, construction documents, and exterior renovation are within the construction documents. They're about 95% complete, and the remaining items include incorporating staff comments as well as determinations of the utility location. And that should be going out for bid in about 30 days.
Do we have any elevations, the exterior elevations of the Randy Computers building? Yeah. What it'll look like after they finish?
We do within the construction documents, so I believe we could provide those once they're complete.
Okay.
Just in speaking of the modifications, they're not extensive on the outside. We will be having a new storefront installed, so new storefront glass windows and doorway opening. And then, of course, repairing of the facade, where we've got some damaged metal fascia covering the parapet wall, the roof. And then, of course, painting. We haven't determined a color scheme or anything like that. One thing that's also recently come to our attention is support Portsmouth Public Art, which is the organization that has been behind the mural project in the Innovation District. They would be interested in doing a mural on the building, so we're in some early conversations with them about where that could be done and how that might tie into what your efforts are to make this property kind of a showcase for the district as we're working in that quadrant there in Elm and High Street. Really make that kind of an anchor of the district. Obviously, we want to make this a contributing positive property. Certainly share. I think the rendering is going to look very technical. It's not a conceptual, drawing or anything like that. It's a very kind of technical schematic, which we can share.
And we do stay on the table some type of something we could do landscaping to make the outside in addition to the painting.
Yes.
More attractive.
Plans do include landscaping.
So there's a significant amount of site work that's being done. So the parking lot is going to be resurfaced, and then an overhaul of the landscaping on the perimeter. There's some bushes and trees and stuff.
You can include that as well.
Yes. Chair, we have an update as well on 1220 High Street, which is just a block away, and I'm going to ask for Ms. Chop to provide you that as well. I know she's been working on a couple of things here. I think she's got an update on the roof.
Yeah. We received a proposal from Mosley Architects to create plans for the replacement of the roof at 1220 High Street. The proposal was for $21,893, and that would include preparation of the construction documents as well as administration of the bidding process and the construction. And we are asking that, or recommending that the EDA vote to execute this proposal. The proposal indicates that with the construction documents should be prepared within 60 days of the execution of the proposal.
At the last meeting, we had considerable discussion about, the appearance of this property, the aesthetics of the property. Is it possible to amend the contract to the architect to provide some conceptual renderings of the exterior, how it may be improved, and also the landscaping and site work for the property?
We have discussed with the architect that, and we will discuss that within the closed session.
I've got an update on some related matters for 1220 that we'll be covering. So this is really just I know you're aware of the proposal. We just need a formal approval to move forward with the.
Do you wish to move forward with it at this time or wait till we come out of closed session?
At this time, we'd like to take this item individually to move forward. This is ready to go, and we can give you some additional detail on the other ask during closed portion.
I move that we accept the proposal.
Second.
By Vice Chairman Barber and a second by Commissioner Brown. Is there any discussion on the matter?
One question with the site work, especially with the landscaping, is it going along with the innovation districts, or are we kind of backtracking? Like, are we fixing it up, but possibly down the road, we may be tearing it again to incorporate the innovation district plan, or is it going to go together?
So kind of unrelated to the roof replacement and the motion that's on the floor, I think that's probably a conversation we can address as part of the overall discussion in closed session.
Oh, my apologies. I thought this was about the roof and the site work, like,
No, the two are
okay.
kind of broken out.
Okay.
We're specifically talking about the roof replacement
Sure.
at this point. But we will, I think, in the closed session, the overall conversation will touch on your question.
Okay.
Any other comments? Read the roll. Mr. Barber,
Aye.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mrs. Saunders Smith,
Yes.
Mrs. Cherry,
Yes.
Mr. James is absent, Mr. Harmon.
Yes.
Here, the item is adopted by a vote of 6-0.
Good.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is to sort of report about our small business finance committee. As you're aware, we put out a request for proposals from various financial institutions to help us administer a revolving loan fund for small businesses in the range of about $250,000 there. There were 3 proposals that were received regarding that. And remind me, one was from Bridging, Virginia. One was from Howard Henson, what was his company's name? Fund First, I think. Fund First. And the third one was
AGA.
AGA. The last one, the proposal, their administrative costs were approximately equivalent to what the funds that we would be lending. So in terms of the committee's response and staff's review, we sort of have put that one at the lowest priority. The other 2 proposals were very similar and much less administrative costs. In our review, we we're aware that the Portsmouth Partnership is operating an accelerator program to prepare businesses for applying for business loans as such. And we've had some initial discussions with Michelle Rand about if there is some synergy between our program and their program, and that would help benefit both organizations. So we need to explore that relationship a little bit further to see if she has offered to do some of the educational components of the effort for the small businesses. And that could possibly help reduce the administrative costs of our program. So what we are recommending is basically meeting with Michelle and getting those discussions underway and try to firm up any relationships that we may have, and then meet with the 2 other proposals and get some clarification on their proposals, and then come back to you all at our next meeting with a recommendation, hopefully. Yeah. Be glad to answer any questions that you might have.
Are the proposals available for review? Are the proposals available for review?
There, I'll ask the staff.
They have been provided to the Small Business Finance Committee for review. We would anticipate circulating them to the board before any formal action would be taken. But that would come along with a recommendation from the Finance Committee. So yeah,
Thank you.
they are available. We will be circulating those as we move through the review process.
Well, I think we're all excited about this. Is one of our 4 key strategic initiatives that we'll be talking about later, but it's a theme that we have heard constantly about the lack of capital for small businesses. So even though we're starting off with 250, I think if it yields both job growth and business expansion, it would open the door for additional funding for capital. So excited about this. I think we all are.
Are there any other questions or comments before we proceed with the next item? Okay, hearing none. Wanted to provide an update on the Crawford Bay waterfront development. As you know, we have been working on this site for some time to move it forward towards a development opportunity. So just want to give you an update on where we stand today. We have prepared an RFP for the solicitation of a real estate consultant to assist us with preparing the actual solicitation package that will ultimately go out for the development community's consideration. And that has been shared with both the chair and vice chair. I've received comments, feedback on that, and staff is currently just revising that to get it to our purchasing office so that it can be advertised. So we are anticipating to do that within the coming week, at which point it would be out on the street for advertisement. As soon as we have that consultant on board, we will begin the process of engaging with stakeholders, including the EDA, to begin developing the actual solicitation package for development parties to respond to.
So the service that Harvey Lindsay provides us, this wouldn't fall into that scope with them, since we already have a real estate agency like representing city property?
This is a little bit, I think, beyond the scope of what was included in that package that went out. Certainly, they could have the opportunity to
rebid. Yes. Okay, I got you.
And this is really something that we're looking to go on a national level to advertise and market the property.
Very good.
Certainly, it would be open to all interested parties to respond to from a consulting services standpoint.
Very good. Very good.
So this is moving forward. I know this is one of your top priorities for staff as well. And this will be hitting the streets here very soon.
This also will have a deeper dive, as you'll know, in our city council EDA meeting, joint meeting in May, a deeper dive into this as well. So.
Did we set that date now?
I see May 12th, so I don't know if that's an official date, but
That has been, we'll get
to that.
Just a few more slides, but we have a meeting date. That has been established by the city council. I think we're just going to work to confirm that. We'll be presenting that to you here in just a minute. First and foremost, we do have a business matter that we need to address. 240 Beasley Drive. We do have an offer for the purchase of this property for the development of a new Dunkin' Donuts location there along the Victory Boulevard corridor adjacent to our entertainment district. JPM Real Estate, as you are aware, has provided us an offer to purchase the property. We have negotiated and finalized that purchase agreement. So today we really are asking for your approval of moving forward with that. The terms and conditions remain the same as when they were proposed last month. And again, the purchase amount that has been offered is $250,000.
I have one question as relates to, is this an additional Dunkin' Donuts, or they're going to be closing the one that's on the?
Great question. So I believe you're referring to the Dunkin' Donuts on George Washington Highway. We had the same question. I believe that it was confirmed that both will be remaining. Both the existing location will remain in operation, and then this will be an additional location. It's a really good use of the property to help bring some of the retail and dining establishments to the east. As of right now, you don't really find that once you cross Greenwood. So helping to push that commercial corridor to the east.
I want to vote on this now.
Yes, sir.
I move that we move forward to sell 240 Beasley Drive.
Second.
Roll call vote. Mr. Barber,
Aye.
Mr. Mitchell,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mrs. Saunders Smith,
Yes.
Mrs. Cherry,
Yes.
Mr. Harmon.
Yes.
Chair, the item is adopted by a vote of 6-0. Thank you. We will keep you posted as this item moves forward. I do know that they are anxious to get their planning and permitting process underway, so we will be keeping you informed of the progress they make as we move forward. Your next item is a reminder that the 2025 Statement of Economic Interest Commission is due to the city clerk by February 3rd. You should have all received an individual email from Ms. White regarding this item. Believe that Ms. Griffin had sent that out as well, just as a polite reminder. February 3rd is the deadline. I do believe that there is a penalty for late submittal. $200 fee, so we don't want you to miss that date. So if you have any questions about the form, please reach out to the city clerk with any specific questions. We can obviously help that submission process. If it does need to be provided as a hard copy, which can be done directly to the city clerk, or if you need to drop it off here, we're happy to deliver it on your behalf. So just want to make sure you are aware of that, that the deadline is coming up here very soon.
We also need to select participants for the 26 fiscal year 26 budget committee. We're hopeful that Commissioner Sanders Smith will continue to participate on that. But if there are any additional commissioners that have interest in it, if you would just send a note to myself or Brian, and we'll start forming that team going forward.
And we have to cap that at 2 members of the board. So if we can get those in, and we'll kind of quickly get a committee for it. You can send that directly to me or to Mr. Lynch.
I wanted to take a few moments to talk about the annual retreat and also a little bit about our strategic initiatives going into this year. As you know, we sent out the list at the last meeting and asked the commissioners to vote on their priority. And we ended up with initiative number 1 to prepare a request for proposal for the developers to submit detailed proposals on phase 1 development of the prior waterfront property in Portsmouth. The second initiative was to conduct a market analysis and feasibility study to identify optimal development concepts with 2 key properties owned by the Economic Development Authority located at 1028 High Street and 1117, 1121 High Street. Just let me just speak a little bit more about that. At our last meeting, we had a rather lengthy conversation around a coffee shop. And really it had to do with our perception of what we wanted to see in Innovation District. And so it was fairly clear to me that we didn't have alignment on our vision. And I think that's a critical piece for us going forward. And so one of the things we want to do is retreat is to really line up our vision in terms of how we see properties that we own that are in the Innovation District, look, feel, what we would like to accomplish with them. So one of the things I like to do is establish a working committee to identify the best use for the properties that we have that align with our vision. I was kind of doing a self-assessment of myself in terms of, what I could have done better. I think what we're lacking, I think, is just a clear vision, clear strategic objectives with milestones in that. So when we sit down and have our meetings monthly, we have, what milestones we should be hitting if we haven't hit them, a discussion around that. This is a difficult committee because we only meet once a month. And Neil and I do a lot of the heavy lifting with Brian, but everybody else also has other responsibilities. I think most of the people here have other jobs. And so we're taking on some really large tasks without a lot of support. I don't have a administrative assistant. I don't have anybody who helps with presentations or anything. It may sound simple, but that takes a lot of work, particularly if you're talking about some of the things that we hope to accomplish. So we're hoping to build some committees, identify what resources that we have, and really kind of push forward. I think what we've been lacking so far is that who really owns the project. You know, we've been going back and forth around what our vision is. We've also been looking for some direction from the city in terms of the term is, but coding in terms of what types of services could be allowed there. And I just feel like we're getting further behind. And I think here's an opportunity, I think, for us to kind of move forward, at least on the properties that we have. So we're going to build these working committees. We're also going to provide some money to go visit some other cities, some other locations to get some ideas, and then report back what we think are the best uses for the properties that we own. The third one was to develop a program to provide small business owners with access to financial capital. I think we're all excited about that. We've heard that from many people who have come here and say, like, I have a great idea. I'm not getting money from the banks. It's been difficult. We're hoping that this is the start of something big. And the last one was collaborate with Rivers Casino management team to identify and evaluate business opportunities that can drive increased visitor traffic and enhance the customer experience. This initiative aims to strategically attract complementary businesses and services that align with the casino's brand, increase engagement, and contribute to the overall revenue growth. That's a big one. And it's certainly not something that we can take on ourselves. We'll have to partner with City Council as well as Rivers Casino. We'll probably have to invest in some people coming out, giving us some direction on that. But as you know, we're trying to get out ahead of potentially what could happen in Norfolk and continue to make Rivers Casino a destination point for people with some of the amenities that go around that. So I'm sure that will be part of our conversation with City Council in May. Who's on that team? What do we hope to accomplish, etc. So I'm excited. I think we have a great 4 initiatives. Most of them we have already started some work on. I think it's just a matter of lining up the resources to move quickly. You know, as my old boss used to say, move slow to go fast. So we'll do the slow work now, and hopefully once we get that done, we can make some serious leaps. We haven't established a date. It'll probably be on a weekend so that we can accommodate everyone's schedule. But if you'll give Bill, Brian, and myself a little time to come up with some tentative dates, I want to make sure that we have a clear agenda in terms of what we want to do with that retreat, and also just to really drill down a little bit more on our 4 strategic objectives. Questions?
No, I just like to make a comment that I think that you've done probably better than what you think you've done. I think that we have kind of been lagging in trying to get the city council's vision to be congruent with what we see as a board. So I'm really excited with the new council that hopefully we can get on one page. I'm definitely excited about, as old people used to say, sometimes you have to chew gum and walk at the same time. And that, you know, we have a lot of things. It is the innovation district, but it is the entertainment district. We have a lot of things that we need to focus in on. And I think that certainly you two cannot do it alone. And maybe once we meet, that we can kind of assign commissioners to work on particular lanes as to getting this accomplished.
Thank you. Thoughts?
Hey, thank you, Chair, for plan to move forward with that, work on a date. There is a established date for a joint meeting between the City Council and EDA. I believe this is a date that has been provided by the city clerk and consultation on its development and the city manager. The email came from, I believe, the manager's office.
Yes.
And want to make sure that this date works for everybody. I believe it works for the city council. And I'm actually going to turn over to Mr. Carter here to speak to this and what the plan and intent is and any other specific.
The new council has reinstated Monday work sessions. And we want to take advantage of that meeting opportunity to see if we can get some of the different groups around our city to have a joint meeting with our council to engage in some real robust discussions about who we are, what we want to do together. This date has been chosen for EDA pending your approval of the date that you can meet on that Monday. The meetings start at 5:30. It's on the 6th floor in the City Hall. So if this date is something that you guys can accommodate, we will solidify that it is your date, and that's a date that the joint boards will meet for, again, some robust discussions about who we are, where we are, and where we're trying to go together. Do you need a motion?
Probably just a consensus that May 12th works for the group.
Yes, for me.
See, those heads are nodding yes.
That's a 5:30 in the afternoon meeting, so.
This will work, I think, really well just in terms of the schedule to give you a little bit more information as it relates to meetings and things that will be occurring prior to this. Obviously, we just talked about your annual retreat happening here in the next few months, but in early March, the city manager has a number of things that will be happening as well. So there's a city council retreat scheduled for March 7th and 8th.
Yes.
And there will be some discussion about some of these same things that we've been talking about today, followed by a department head retreat the following week, 13th and 14th it is. So your retreat should come just after that. So I think by May 12th, we get a good idea of what the visions are. We can collaborate on next steps and how we move this forward. So I think this is going to work really well timing.
The only question I have is that some of these projects are pretty big. So I'm just trying to envision what that looks like. So we come as part of that discussion, for instance, if we're talking about Rivers Casino and what type of amenities that we might put there to increase traffic, not only to the casino, but for the consumer experience. To me, that requires a lot of what does that mean? Who should be leading that conversation? What kind of finances are we willing to put into that? Going to get some outside consultants to come in and help lay out the big picture of what that should look like. Is that the kind of deep dive that you envision this being, or is it more of a top level? Here's some of the big projects that we would like to consider, and there are joint projects between EDA and City Council. I just don't know if it's just going to be us sitting up there saying, hey, here's what we like to do. You guys saying, hey, we agree or we don't agree, or we all are on the same page. And here's how we're going to invest in that. We'll really provide some financial resources. We expect the casino to provide some financial resources. I don't know if I'm being clear, but I'm trying to make sure that it is a engaging planning meeting versus a presentation. That's what I'm trying to distinguish. What we're going to do.
Can I say what I envision?
Sure.
Okay. What I envision is that the work that you're talking about, as far as you guys getting on the same page and getting your projects aligned, will have already happened when we meet in May. Same thing will be true for the city council. They will have already did the work on visioning.
and assign some things to actually get done and put some plans in place to start things moving. So when we meet in May, this isn't a presentation. This is more about, okay, this is the EDA's work that they've already done and how they're moving forward in their future. This is city council work, how they're already started moving forward. How do we make those two things align so that as we move forward together and not we're pulling each other apart. Okay. So what I envision is for a lot of groundwork to have already been done when we come to the table on both sides, so that when we meet, we align visions. We're not there to give a presentation about what something's going to look like in 5 years. But that's your job. What I really want is, okay, we've got a plan. This is what the plan is. This is how much the plan is going to cost. These are the participants. And the other side do the same thing. So that when we leave that meeting, we're all marching in the same direction.
Is the action being taken?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. When we depart, I like to have some actionable things that we will accomplish together over the next 6 to 9 months, so that when we come together again, we have a new set of plans that we're going to try and execute. Because what I envision is we'll have some things that we want to get done that's short term, some things that we want to get done that's long term. And as we check off the boxes for the short term items, some of the long term visions start to become reality. So we can move some new things onto the plate as we move some old things off the plate. But actually have to get some work done to make these things happen. It's really not about sitting around talking and nodding our head at each other. It's about how do we actually get work done.
We're definitely about that, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
So I'm sure that means that we're gonna have to have increased meetings once a month. It's not gonna.
No, it's not like that.
So work along those lines.
So yes, I expect you guys to come to the table with some real meat on the bones. Not a great idea, but something that you've vetted and you're ready to move forward.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
My pleasure, sir.
Are there any other questions or discussions on this item before we move to closed session? Well, we do have a need for a closed meeting. There is a resolution that has been prepared. I believe Vice Chairman Farmer has that.
I'm moved to go into closed meeting pursuant to code section 2.23711A.3 for the purpose of discussing acquisition and disposition of real property where the discussions in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body. Specifically regarding the acquisition, disposition, and the dispositions of 1220 High Street and 1021 through 1107 High Street, and pursuant to code section 2.23711A.6 for the purposes of discussion of investment of public funds where competition or bargaining is involved. Where, if made public, initially the financial interest of the government would be adversely affected, specifically regarding funding requests from Star-Based Victory.
Second.
Any discussion on the item? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Mr. Barber.
Aye.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mrs. Saunders Smith.
Yes.
Mrs. Cherry.
Yes.
James is absent. Mr. Harmon.
Yes.
Here, the item is approved by a vote of 6-0. We are now in a closed meeting.
I hereby move that each commissioner certify that to the best of his or her knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered in the closed meeting thus concluded.
Second.
Motion by Saunders Smith and a second by Commissioner Brown. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll. Mr. Barber.
Aye.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mrs. Saunders Smith.
Yeah.
Cherry.
Yes.
And Mr. Harmon.
Yes.
Here, a vote of 6-0. We're now in an open meeting. We have an open meeting item, which is the Starbase Victory Gala sponsorship. We are in need of a
I make a motion that we approve $7,500 for the championship or champion sponsorship for Starbase Victory.
Second.
motion by Commissioner Furman and a second by Commissioner Brown. For any discussion on the item? Hearing none, I'll read the roll call vote. Barber?
Aye.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mrs. Saunders Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Cherry?
Yes.
And Mr. Hartman.
Yes.
Hereby a vote of 6-0, the item is approved. That brings us to items submitted by board members.
Wonder if I could get a status on the demolition of the Holmes property.
Yes, Sharon, I'm going to ask Julie Chop to provide you an update. She's been working on that.
The proposal and the bid package has been prepared and has been sent to the city manager for signature so that we can execute, or that we can then put the project out for bid.
Will there be a screen around that property or will it just be open? You know, at this point?
There'll be a silt fence around the entire property.
You know, we had some conversation prior about using that as a advertising venue with signage on it. Would it be that high or is it going to be?
So I believe that when we discussed that, we were intending to leave are we leaving the foundation?
Yeah, I think the plan right now is to leave the building slab in place to contain some credits for the stormwater aspect of it. The demolition contractor may put up some construction fencing if it's necessary, but post completion of the demolition and clearance work, there was some talk about having a fence to secure the property installed with some screening on it to kind of shield, the site. And looking at that as an opportunity to advertisement in the Dayton district and what could potentially be developed on that site. So we're still looking at that.
Okay.
Right now, the push is to get the building down.
Do we need a resolution, to go forward?
I believe you've done that at a prior meeting. I believe you voted on the cost for the design work for the demolition. Now, when we get our bids back for the actual demolition work itself, we'll need to have one.
Thank you.
Other items?
Yes. I now think of several months ago, I was asking about our vacancy in businesses along High Street corridor. I know it was very limited, but I know that we've had several changes of restaurants closing and that kind of thing. And I would like to find out I would like, it doesn't have to be today, of course, but what is our vacancy rate and what is the square footage of those buildings so that we can look at prospective businesses that we would like, or to go after.
And was that specifically High Street in kind of the Old Town corridor? I just want to clarify that.
I think the last time I asked it was the Old Town corridor,
Yeah.
but I mean going down to Effingham Street.
From the waterfront to
Effingham Street.
Yeah, we can certainly provide you an update on that. In fact, I've been working with our staff on an inventory. So what I can share with you is if you were to search for a report on the listings of available properties. The vacancy rate in the Midtown area of the city, which includes Old Town, is under 5% right now. We ran that as of a week ago, which is quite low, but I think there's other properties that that's not capturing that are not listed, but are vacant. So those are the ones we're looking to identify in the inventory we're preparing. So we're working on that and can obviously share that information with you. We're really trying to get a more accurate picture of what the commercial retail landscape looks like. I'm not confident in what the data showed in the market right now.
Okay. And then my final thing was, and I know I've brought this up several times, and I think the last time we had someone from tourism, I think, to come talking about the electronic signage. Where do we end with that? You know, I was asking, could we have some electronic signage at the foot, you know, which, you know, say what's going to be in the next block and the next block. And I mean, I actually think if no one's going to do something, maybe this is something we should look at. But I do remember having someone to come in.
I believe that was raised with Mr. Toller when we presented on some of the tourism and visitor activities that are happening in all of the city, but primarily in Old Town. I don't recall what his response was to that. That's probably more of a city item, you know, city tourism. What I will share with you is recently the Old Town area was designated as an advancing Main Street community through the Department of Housing and Community Development. Portsmouth Partnership has pursued that Main Street designation at the state level. So Old Town is now a member of the Main Street program. They're looking at doing some things from a marketing standpoint as well as aesthetics, beautification. And that could be something that maybe they look to undertake with some grant funding from the state.
Do you know if they're seeking, speaking of grant funding, does the VA 250, the 250th anniversary of the United States, they have grant money for like areas like Old Town, just like historic original places in America? Are we looking into receiving any money from that initiative?
I haven't been involved in that planning process. I know that Keith Toller has been at the table for that. I believe the city leadership, I believe Councilman Hugel has also been a participant in that.
Yeah, so there's the grant money that the VA 250 committee is applying for are really kind of targeted at events. But there is a grant that has been requested that would do historic signage in the Old Town area. And I think we actually were awarded that grant to do some historic signage. And the committee has some folks working to define what historic things that aren't already tagged in the path of history signage would have new additional signage installed.
That's good.
But I think it's only like half a dozen historic sites that the grant was intended to provide money for.
So that might be a follow-up for the tourism. Let's see if that's gone where.
Yeah, what their plans are. Since the summer season is coming back again.
Any other items? Having none, we will conclude this meeting. Thanks for everybody's participation.